Nation's town hall. President Trump is 100 days plus into his second administration. We're taking a look at what's working, what needs to be done better, and why. Great guests tonight, perspective across the spectrum. Bill O'Reilly, Stephen A. Smith, Ronna McDaniel, Chris Sununu have been here. We had Steve Bannon. We had James Carville. O'Reilly, you know, kind of got out of line with Carville a little bit.
He deserved it.
And once it sunk in, he left. And we had Patrick Bet-David. And now we're doing something for you, if you just switched over from wherever else you were watching us or listening to us, that only happens on News Nation. And I only say that because it's not easy, okay? There's one guarantee in political coverage right now. Members of the two parties do not want to be on at the same time, okay? Now, my show at News Nation has made this a priority because I know you need to see it, okay? You need to see that Republicans and Democrats can talk. They may not agree, but they can be on the screen at the same time. Pretty low bar, but if you think about it, there's no other show where you're going to see it. We do it here, and I'm very grateful for it, all right? Joining me now are two friends of this show. I respect them both, okay? Massachusetts Democrat member of Congress, Jake Auchincloss, and Georgia Republican member of Congress, Dr. Rich McCormick. To those who are watching for the first time, I want to say to you guys, you've done this consistently, and you do it well, and I thank you for it. You are showing people that you can disagree without being disagreeable. So thank you both. So I'll start with you, Jake. What we've been talking about, I don't know if you heard the president's interview, but he was basically saying, look, somebody's got to save the country from these trade imbalances and America getting taken advantage of. It's not going to be easy. It may not be quick. There may be some pain, but it had to be done. Your response?
Chris, thanks for having me on. Rick, it's nice to be with you again. Chris, I have a trade imbalance with my grocery store. It doesn't mean my grocery store is taking advantage of me. The president is using talking points to obscure the fact that he has broken his core campaign promise. His core campaign promise was, I'm going to be good on the economy. He's been bad on the economy. The economy contracted this last quarter. If it does that again next quarter, it'll be a recession, the first man-made recession in American history. And there's every indication that it will. Price expectations are surging. Private sector employment is contracting. And we've got Walmart and Dollar General CEOs saying that their customers don't have enough money to last until the end of the month. The president is failing on the economy right now.
How do you see it, Doc?
I disagree. First of all, I just came from a lectureship at the Library of Congress. They were talking about Reagan. They were talking about what a great president, what he did for America. One of the greatest things that Reagan did when he came in after the end of the Carter administration is give back America its mojo. Make you proud to be an American. Stand up to the bad guys. Talk about responsible government. Talk about common sense government where you don't have 10 million people coming across the southern border, where you're not ashamed to make money, where you're not relying on class warfare and racial baiting to make your point, to pay off people to vote for you. Those days are over. Those days of hiring people for millions and billions of dollars to do the wrong thing here in America and overseas are over. We're going back to accountability. I think that's something America wanted. That's what they voted for. That's what they're going to get. Whether the economy falters or not in the short term, look at us in about a year. That's when we're going to be able to tell. That's when the midterms are going to reflect on everything that happens. Because when you have 70 countries come to the table and say, let's have 0 tariffs, that is a huge win for America.
Jake?
Chris, my friend from Georgia just set the world indoor record for MAGA talking points. I'm glad that he thinks people shouldn't be ashamed to make money. I agree. This is capitalism. The good news is no one's going to be ashamed because no one's making any money. $4.6 trillion have been wiped off the value of the stock market under President Trump's tenure. Okay, that's people's retirement accounts. That's how they save for their kids' college educations. That's how they ensure that they have financial freedom as they enter their golden years. And it's gone because him and Howard Lutnick put together a PowerPoint slide calculated with first grade math. Nobody in this world is taking us seriously right now. Russia is laughing at us across the negotiating table. China can't even figure out what the tariffs mean. And Japan and Australia and our allies in Europe are wringing their hands wondering what happened to the country they used to be able to rely upon. Meanwhile, the cost of a vehicle in this country is going to go up by $7,500 with nothing to show for it.
All right, you got a lot of people rubbing their hands on their pants.
Okay,
right?
look, believe me.
especially him.
With all
Hey,
due
let's
respect,
not
Congressman.
talk about the biggest
you know-
robbery to anybody's savings account is inflation.
Oh,
That didn't
hold
happen during
on. Party politics bores me to death. Okay? You guys are champions on it's not a MAGA thing, it's a party. You can't possibly think that within 100 days, Donald Trump has wrecked the entire U.S. economy. That's absurd. Nobody would make that statement other than a partisan player. You've got to give. Now, Trump may fail, and he knows if he does, his legacy is blown up, and he doesn't have a long time. As one of our audience members made the point, there's some urgency. But to just say, oh, $1 trillion is gone, when the stock market could go up 5,000 points in 2 weeks if the trade deals that Trump is saying are going to happen do happen. So let's stay in the real world and let's try to put the party nonsense aside, okay?
And I would add party nonsense.
It is nonsense, Congressman, and you know it. You're reading off a script. You're bringing in a script that you've said 50 times in the last 3 days. It's nonsense.
Bill, don't talk to me about nonsense. When I'm out in my district talking to small business owners who are laying off their workers,
Okay.
I am talking to social service providers.
What's the unemployment rate in the country, Congressman? What's the unemployment rate in the country?
This is the economy that Donald Trump
What
is
is the
creating for
unemployment
Americans.
rate in the country?
And at the same time,
You don't know.
At the same time as he is adding $7
You
trillion
don't
to
know
national
what the
debt.
unemployment rate in the country is.
It's
So don't give me
2.4%.
this.
Let's remember back, you know, the Congressman brings up a good point about Reagan. 81 and 82, the economy was in tough shape, right? He had to make tough decisions. He said, be patient. And in 84, not only was it a huge electoral win, but the country's economy was absolutely booming. So these things absolutely do take time. And to Bill's point, there's only 2 issues. The tariffs, the jury's out on the tariffs. We'll see where it lands. But politically, there's only 2 metrics that Americans will vote on. Do I have a job? Is the cost of living too much? So it's unemployment and inflation, unemployment and inflation. And depending on where those 2 things are come November of 26, will determine whether people are voting in or out for the Republican Party.
Governor, one more point. The Republicans do this too. I know I was hard on the congressman from the Democratic side, but the Republicans say, if you listen to talk radio, oh, this is going to be magic. Yeah. The carpet is going to take everybody into prosperity. They don't know that.
They don't know.
That's right.
They're just reading off the damn script. All right. And I'm tired of the damn script.
Well, I'm tired of the damn script, too.
Good.
But I also understand why they're doing it. And they're doing it
So
because...
empathetic.
Listen, because the objective is to get reelected. The objective is to remain in
Not
power.
here.
The objective is not here, but the point is, you invited them here, so you got to know what you
didn't invite them.
You got to know what you get. You got to know what you get.
I would have had a whole different
That's what I'm trying to say. No, I wouldn't. I like the guys.
The only guy I invited was Trump. He invited all the others.
Actually, you invited me too, but that's beside the point. The point that I'm trying to make to you is
blew
that...
it. Now your reputation's shot.
There we go. You're trying... Listen, the Democrats' only shot, they got to win the midterms. They're going to do whatever they must to win the midterms. It is up to us. It is up to us to deduce what they're saying, what is valid and what is invalid, to decide what direction we're going to go in.
Look,
it's not their job to do the homework for us.
Listen, I'm with you. There's nothing that's been neglected more than what it really means to be a citizen. Okay, I blame the parties all the time. I like Jake and I like Doc McCormick.
So do I.
I think that they're fair brokers and they're definitely members of parties. And that's not a problem because you can't exist in the system without it. And people use talking points. The president was using talking points. It's not an unusual thing.
They all do it.
I would argue that there's a matter of degree, and I think the president has set a new standard.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, the real problem that we have with Congress, and the reason I invite you guys on, and I appreciate you so much doing it, no matter what Bill says, is that without Congress, none of the things that Trump wants to do are going to get done the way they need to. And I am so shocked that he did this tariff deal before he came to you guys to do immigration reform, because you got to change the asylum rules and you have to change the standards of how things get done on the border. And you have to really deeply consider how we deal with people who are in this country right now. The president doesn't have the power to do it alone, and he's going to try. Doc, this question's to you first, and then I want Jake to weigh in on it. He's doing it because he doesn't think you will get it done. He doesn't think you'll get him a bill. So he's doing it himself, and we both know he's going to get jammed up. Is there responsibility within your party to make some legislation to motivate this agenda?
Yeah, we're going to have to codify a lot of things he's doing. But as Stephen A. Smith referred to, what's interesting is Obama and Clinton and Biden had the same laws we had before when we had immigration, when Obama was the chief deporter. These laws didn't change when Biden came in and suddenly all of a sudden we had to open the border. That was an executive order. That was him saying we're going to open it up. We're going to accept tens of millions of people into America on your American dime. The question is, do the American people, this is a common sense question. This is not politics. This is what lost the election for the Democrats, in my opinion, is they said, it doesn't make sense. I'm not going to pull money out of my pocket to have somebody come from nations and nations away, going through Mexico because they're unsafe in Mexico somehow, and come to America and stay in a 4-star hotel, get a free cell phone, get 3 squares on my dime when I don't even have enough money for my family and the economy can handle, because in the future we're going to have so much debt, America cannot sustain it and will not be the world economic power, the industry standard of currency in the future if we don't get more responsible. That's why they lost.
Jake, what's your take on this?
Chris, my take is that other than Governor Sununu on that stage, nobody who is on that stage right now has talked to an actual constituent in years. I have done 16 town halls in the last 3 months. I am talking to my constituents, and what I am hearing repeatedly is people are afraid. People are afraid at how badly managed this economy is being. They are afraid at how weak this president is on the global stage.
Sir?
And I would ask my question to my friend from Georgia here. You talk about the national debt. I agree with you. The last president to balance the budget, by the way, was a Democrat. The next president to balance the budget should be a Democrat, too. And my question for you is, if you worry about the national debt, why did you just vote to add $7 trillion to the national debt 2 weeks ago?
Actually, I didn't. If you look at my voting record, I voted against the CR in December. One of 34 people that voted against the CR in December, because 100% of the Democrats voted for it. I knew it was a bad bill. If you look at the history of what I proposed and what I'm trying to get done, everything, I let you speak. Right. I let you speak. We're not going to do that. You're going to let me speak now. So if you're going to talk about the debt, tell me one thing that the Democrats have seriously considered that would reduce debt in America. I'm one of the 34. I'm one of the holdouts. I'm the one guy, I will go to war with anybody over this debt crisis because I think it is the future of American state. It's not a partisan issue. I think we're going to have to deal with Social Security. That's a bipartisan issue. But I'm not going to play games on that. You cannot come up with one thing the Democrats have done to reduce
I'm going to interject to say this to the representative. That kind of attitude where you just said only one person on this stage has talked to constituencies other than you, that's why y'all lost. Because let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now. I can go to an arena with 20,000 people or a stadium with 80,000 people, and I can run across tens, if not hundreds of people that speak on these issues. Just because you're not speaking directly to a politician doesn't mean you're not speaking directly to the issues that affect the American public. You can't say something like that, sir, respectfully.
Totally. And he's going to be president.
I totally agree.
I know. You saw how Jake, you can't see Stephen A., but when he was saying that, he had the thumb and the fist. He looks like a politician. I'm telling you that right now. Jake, I got to jump. I'm out of time, but we're going to continue this conversation. Jake Alkencloss, you're always welcome to make the arguments here, and they're often very cogent. Dr. McCormick, same. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for letting the new audience that's watching us tonight see what we're about. Thank you for being part of it.